The summarized story of this, it takes place during the seaside village attacks. There's a kingdom, and then you have the water kingdom.
Yeah.
We're seeing the events of Geralt still going over Yennefer's stuff. This does take place between the live action movie or series between episode 5 and 6. This is going to be like kind of a filler. I personally believed it was. Yeah. But the plot summary is between, think of it as Little Mermaid, two kingdoms, one at odds, and you have the prince and the princess in love. They want unity. However, the families don't want that. And of course, we have Geralt. So Geralt, of course, of Rivia, allegedly, he's supposed to be, in the beginning, it starts with him coming in, doing a job, which ends up, of course, we're going to learn, is not part of why it's really going on. There's a lot more going on between the story, which is what I kind of went over, was with the sea people and the humans. And we learn about all these characters in here. Apparently, sea witches are very common in this film.
I guess so. It's one of those funny moments that I kind of find out, and that's a person who we just keep claiming that she is like the Little Mermaid villain. What was her called?
Ursula,
right?
Yeah.
She's like singing, and it's like, there's no way she can be the villain because she doesn't show up until like, what, couple of scenes?
Yeah, so we learn in the film, so the sea witch is actually the princess's uncle, or aunt. But she learned she was in love with the king of the underwater, which they barely show the king and the princess of the fish people. But anyways, we learned that she wants to rule, of course, something generic story. This is why I said this is like a very generic story. And you have her, of course, do the potion, and there's music in here, which I was very surprised. I was very taken aback from that. I was very surprised about.
Were you surprised the music was playing during the whole king's?
No, not that. Not the scene where like the jesters are talking. The bards. That's normal. So Jesker does speak in this.
Yeah,
he is in this.
Okay.
Jester's character is the same as he's always been in the TV series, as you've seen him, and probably as well in the books. However, I personally think Jester's character doesn't add much to this at all. I don't think he was really funny at all.
Yeah.
As well as we learn his companion, his childhood friend. I don't think she added much to this as well.
She was there to be like kind of the translator, kind of love interest for Geralt. You know, like one of those people that Geralt will try to find some sort of relationship with.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that part because I do like it when every single time when Yennefer is mentioned, Geralt immediately goes like, I gotta find Yennefer.
Yeah.
And I kind of like this because, obviously, what's his name? Jester.
Yeah.
Hates Yennefer.
Yeah, he hates her.
And to be fair, I don't like her neither.
Yeah.
I never liked Yennefer. A lot of people do, but I'm one of those people. I'm just like, no, sorry. She's the only reason why, because like Geralt is traveling around the world like crazy. He banishes him like across the continent sometimes.
Yeah.
Send him in absurd missions, but it's just funny that he always tells her like, you gotta let her go.
Yeah. She's
not good for you. Maybe fall in love with a real actual human being, which it is kind of funny. I was just like, you're right. You're right. For once, there's other better people out there for you, but for some reason, you're still going back to that toxic relationship, which is Yennefer. But hey, she's hot. I'm not gonna kid you. There's people, like a lot of people love Yennefer. But none the way, I do like the whole part of that whole segment, especially at least her, even though she doesn't bring much into the story.
Yeah.
But it is just one of those things that, it's just trying to show like relationships.
It's showing more of Geralt's story of how he deals with relationships and how he's closed off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which, Yesker was trying to help him with his childhood friend, like that potentially he could be happy. But of course, in the end, we do learn Geralt moves on per usual.
Yeah,
which leads to the events of the show. Another character I wanted to touch on was the king and Yesker's older bully, should I say, which was the king's son.
He was ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't think he added anything really to it.
No, he looked like he was the typical asshole, but he's that typical asshole that at least he kind of changed his ways.
Yeah, he did change his way in the end.
Yeah, and then he died brutally.
Yeah, he did get split in half, which is by the sea witch, who is a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
And what did Ursula transform into? A giant
Kraken.
So that's what she transformed into too, the sea witch.
Yeah.
But going back to his character, I don't think he really added much to this other than he had a couple dialogues with his dad which is the king, and the king was just a stereotypical ruler protecting the bloodline. You should marry this person, blah blah. What didn't make sense to me is he didn't want her to marry the daughter, the princess, but he was okay with her marrying a sea witch.
A sea witch. At least he believed it was human. I think because that's what confused me too. It was like maybe because he looks at her as more of a human than an actual mermaid.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, but don't worry, it gets more ridiculous in the end because remember that I keep talking about like the final act, they claim war, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? The sea creatures or the sea mermaids could just ignore them.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, what are they gonna do? Do they invented scuba gear or freaking like?
Exactly. They kept on fighting in their terms.
Exactly. I'm just like, what is happening? And all because his father, the king, wanted to pass the bloodline.
Yeah. Which you learn there is another character. I don't remember the true heir. The full-blooded son, because he had a bastard son who became the knight, trying to, prove himself, but he can't. Anyways, he said no matter what, he's going to protect his full-blooded son, his asshole son. Anyways, his character was so useless. He was such a little bitch the whole time.
He was.
Especially the scene where he's having the dialogue, and then he's like, oh, you were actually tricking me. I'm like, are you that fucking stupid?
He was dumb.
He was, I think, an absolute trash character.
But even the princess was just as dumb as well, too.
Not as bad as him.
But yeah,
though.
don't get me wrong. It was not as dumb.
She was gullible too. Like you already know your aunt's like terrible and shit like that. Kind of like, I mean, she's just naive.
I know, right?
But like the other guy's just stupid.
So, but here's the thing. I know like fake Ursula, whatever.
Just call her the sea witch.
The sea witch tried to turn her into a human. Was she trying to turn her into a human, or she was trying to poison her?
No, I was gonna turn her because it turned the guy into a mer dude.
Yeah, but then afterwards, she said your whole bloodline ends here to the mermaids.
Yeah, that didn't make sense.
Exactly, I did not understand.
None of this
is where I keep
sense.
talking. Okay,
yeah.
This is where I keep talking about how I felt like the writers forget and they just want to put more into it, but they just forgot.
Yeah, no.
So they just had to keep going.
Exactly.
Because they're running out of time.
Yeah, they were running out of time. They were set a certain schedule, and this was it. Which a lot of stuff didn't make sense in this, and it did feel rushed. It felt like they took formulas from things that came out in the past, and they're like, all right, well, you're going to do this. This works.
I did love this part, too, when the king, after the whole thing happened, where the king was like, I just lost 2 sons, basically.
Yeah, that was the very ending.
And I'm just like thinking to myself, well, older kings had like sons and daughters. It's like, why don't you just try again?
Yeah,
it will be a bastard son, but why would you care? At least your bloodline will continue.
Well,
unless if he shooting blanks, so that I can understand.
But what also doesn't make sense is his wife died, so he could just remarry technically, right?
Yeah.
And then have a full-blooded son, which doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Unless if he had like he probably married someone who was royalty or something, but I don't know.
See, that's what
again,
I'm
there's a lot
about.
of like holes in this film.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could technically pick anybody from the kingdom, really. Like anybody you want.
Exactly. Now, exactly, and he kind of just gives up. He's like, oh, whatever. He gets mopey in the end,
I guess.
Because in the end, his son does become a mermaid.
Yeah, he does, which is kind of just funny. I was like, okay. I thought he was gonna have his dad locked up. That's why, but he didn't do that way. But I guess it's just showing that the king still has authority around here. So whatever you do, it's not gonna work. So he's still, free and commanding. He's like, fuck that. I'm gonna be with the mermaids. And I guess the dad took not kindly to that because I guess the last scene you got is him loading poison.
Yeah.
So I was like, what are you going to do? Trying to murder your son? And besides, if you do try to poison the water, it's not going to be very much effective because the poison is just going to spread around the ocean. There's a lot of ocean.
Yeah, no, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, it would have made sense if this was like a big lake, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
But no, it's ocean.
All right. That's let's go to the beginning. Let's go like telling the story one by one. What do you remember from the beginning? You see Geralt doing some action scenes and fighting off a monster. Is this the part where you were actually kind of on board with the action, or were you just like, there's something off about it?
The first half of the film, which I believe, it's obviously begins with Geralt fighting a monster. That was typical stuff. I wasn't like crazy about anything in the beginning. I was like, I'm sure the last act will pick up the most.
Oh yeah, of course.
As typical. I thought him in the beginning was fine. But it's like this film was very forgettable. Like him in the beginning goes into the kingdom. He was invited to the kingdom, right?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, and Yesker knew the kingdom because this is a child, which we do dive into his past. But I think it wasn't very needed. Like this whole thing wasn't needed for Yesker's backstory.
Did you miss the part where he was hunting the beast? He actually was diving together, and then they finally met the mermaid people. Yeah.
I missed it, but because I forgot about it, it wasn't memorable.
Yeah, it's just one of those scenes where you finally discover that this is the plot. Basically, when they're talking to the mermaid people, it's like, hey, don't kill that sea creature. It didn't do anything to you. And Geralt was basically negotiating with them, just wondering, it's like, what are you talking about? This thing has been attacking fishermen's, and he's like, well. Technically, he was defending himself because the fishermen kept attacking him. And all he does is basically oysters, which that's what the reason of the war started, because of the whole freaking food supply that's been going to the, to the fishermen, the pirates.
The humans, yeah.
The humans, were basically what they do is, what they try to get from the oysters is that pearl.
Yeah.
That's what they're after. And that's why they're freaking pissed. To be honest, I don't understand, because it looks like to me, once the pirates got the oyster again, they were just going to put it back all out again.
No, probably not.
Well, that's what I heard from the pirates. Like, dump all that to the side.
Well, I don't know.
So I'm just like, well, what do you mean? There's more food coming down anyway. It's not like they ate they just tossed the shells. I can understand that they ate what's inside and then tossed the shells. But no, they were going to toss everything out, even the food. So I was like, wait, what you guys are fighting for? So so either way, that's what basically happened during the beginning.
That's what's the start of the whole plot, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. And Geralt had a choice to either kill the monster or basically, let it free. And that's what he did. He let it free because obviously the mermaid said,
don't kill him.
Don't kill him, he's not bothering anybody. You're there just to kill him for fun, but he's not. So obviously, in a way, they kind of had a little bit more better relationship, because Geralt is trying to go with this character that he chooses when to kill a monster and when to do it.
Yeah, everyone kept on saying he was going soft.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not soft.
Yeah.
It's just there's more things to go, is going on, which of course that's why I like the investigation in The Witcher 3 in the video games, because you get to investigate all this, what's going on. Yeah. And I was on board on this. I was like, what's going on? And obviously you figure out it was a piece of shits of, the
kingdom.
The kingdom, very most likely the freaking fishermen's, and that's when I told you about how they're basically going after pearls, which I'm like, all right, fine. And obviously they're dumping the food, and this is when you go to the mermaid side, because they're in a huge debate, basically going like, we gotta stop them. They're taking all our oysters. We don't have no food. How are we gonna feed ourselves? And the daughter is like, please. Let me just at least talk to my, new hubby, which is the prince. And he's like, please don't go, attacking them. And obviously, this is when the king and the queen are saying, no, I think we're going to have to declare war on these people. And I'm like, why? Why are you trying to declare war on something when you don't really have to? If anything, you could just attack the fishermen and they could pretty much fuck off. So I was just like, why? So basically, after that, you hear it, you hear in the distance, she's right. That's when the evil witch comes in. She doesn't look evil, right?
No.
And then she was agreeing with her niece. Was it niece or what was?
That was her niece. Yeah.
Yeah.
The princess.
The princess. It's like, yeah, we're not supposed to declare war. In a way, they're trying to, gaslight you into thinking that she's part of the good guys, but, she's obviously bad.
Obvious.
Yeah, and obviously she has a whole plan in motion for her, and obviously they're just debating on what to do, because obviously they know that a Witcher is there, and they're trying to find out what's going on, if they should declare war or not. And obviously the mermaid, the princess wanted to do a marriage. And he's like, you'll never understand whatsoever. Like, you'll never agree to that. Kind of true. At least the king was.
Which doesn't make sense, because he was going to have the sea witch marry her.
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that didn't make sense.
So after that, you go to the freaking tavern when you have, like whispers going on. He's like, yeah, you see that witcher? He's soft. He's no good. And obviously he's talking about, like the food stuff. That food looked good. When I saw that, I was like, that fucking looks delicious. When he was about to take a bite, he's like, you can't afford it. You can't afford it, mate. Here's some rusty ass bread. Looked mold enough to me. And I was just like, what the hell? I was like, okay, fine. Because they only had like one copper coin for the food.
Because he didn't kill the beast.
Yeah, exactly. Which he couldn't get paid for it. But at least they have some meal to go on. But of course, they're being watched by who, boy? Isa, whatever. Isa?
Yeah, the childhood friend.
The childhood friend, the other barber. What was that? What do you call it? Bard. Who was basically there and basically spying on them. And she basically hired this dude, the king's attendant, to go hire them for the king's audience. I guess. What was it, like? Counselor, I guess? Or what was celebration? Something? Mm-hmm. Well, whatever. It's basically a party of get together. And obviously she wanted them to go there. But what she really wanted was, Geralt. Because she has a keen eye on the Witcher. Because I guess she kind of knows what's kind of going on, because obviously the mermaids and the humans are not getting along very well.
Yeah.
So cut back to the, the party, her childhood friend. And that's when we get a kind of a backstory of when they were kids.
Super unneeded.
It's unneeded, but it's just showing them where they're coming from, because they're going to take a factor into this, especially that bully. Because a bully who could do backflips, I was like, what the hell? And it was supposed to play more into it later on.
Which doesn't.
Which I kind of forgot until they did it. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That was that one scene from before. Like during that scene. Because I guess he was bullying Jasper because I guess he liked music and he was weak.
Yeah. Stupid.
Yeah, so he
scared of heights.
Yeah, so he dumped his ass in the water, pulled him out. And obviously he was just bullying him. And that's when her childhood friend shows up and basically kicks his ass. And I guess it was trying to show that he kind of liked her, but never got anywhere with that either.
Not really. Didn't
really?
Show that, no. It just showed like he doesn't really fight girls.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So basically he just got his ass kicked. And he just left like an asshole. And basically they were discussing, he's like, where has that asshole ever gone to? Or where is he now? And that's when they found out he is bastard child of the king. And he was just a general of the army for the soldiers.
I don't remember the first half well.
Well, okay, fine. So basically they're being introduced, and that's when we got the prince himself. He's there, he's all talking, and basically that's when you start seeing the queen or the evil witch form of a human form. Remember that?
Yeah, but it shows for like a second because it's not really.
I know it's not important. It's just trying to illuminate, I guess, just to go like, this plot is gonna happen. It's gonna be very effective in the ending, and obviously they're showing her like bringing in like a lot of gifts, like seafood, and I'm just like, that gives it away. There's like fruit even. It's just, oh, she's really pretty. It's like, yeah, he's supposed to get married with the prince from another kingdom, and obviously the only person who actually knows her real identity is the king, and the king is just like, you're gonna have to marry this woman, but he's like, I already have somebody in line for me, and it's the mermaid woman. And this is the part where I'm as you said, we're confused. It's like, why do you want to marry this person instead of that person? They're both mermaids.
Yeah, that's what you don't learn till the end.
Yeah, exactly. But it's basically that's what his gripe is. That's what they're trying to get you the message that his dad is trying to get so hard to pass the line so he could have more children, so his bloodline could continue. That's what it is. That's why he's so upset. And I'm like, why are you upset?
That's stupid.
To be honest, the old man could have done it himself. Unless he's shooting blanks, and that's when I'd be like, oh, okay, there's a reason for it then. Because it would have been funny if Geralt told him, so why don't you do it? well, because I'm old and my thing ain't working no more. At least it would have been funny. It would have made sense, but it didn't. It just goes like, that. Yeah, exactly. It's just really weird at that point. And obviously, they're just discussing what's happening, and that's when you hear a fisherman coming in because he's all like dead and
he's hurt. Yeah, he does die.
Which he does die, and he's all saying like the mermaids did this and all that, blah blah blah, because they did get attacked by a kraken, but they thought it was a mermaid, and it wasn't. So that's what happened, and basically. Now, all of a sudden, they're all declaring war against the fishermen.
Yeah,
I'm just
automatically.
Thinking, and somebody should have. I wish there was a smart guy in there just saying like, "But if we go to war with these guys, it's not like we could do anything to them, really."
Yeah, they kind of. I think they have more advantage.
Yeah, exactly. If we go over there for some reason, we're gonna get screwed. Like they probably outnumber us. And they're good swimmers, too. All we have is boats.
Plus, they have sharks that they used.
Exactly. It's like they're out of their elements. It just doesn't make any sense.
It didn't make sense.
It's like a Blastoise versus a Charizard in freaking water. Yeah. It's like, how's that going to be very effective? I just like, there's no way.
No help at all.
Yeah, and it's just ridiculous. So, obviously, he's trying to control it, so he asked the Witcher for help. He's like, Witcher.
Well, Jesker, I think, was the one who offered.
Yeah, because he's trying to stop a war. And the king is like all like thinking about it. He's like, I don't want to start a war. So, and that's when the Prince talked to Jester about, hiring the Witcher to investigate if the mermaid actually started killing fishermen and the people around them. And obviously they went to go camping.
Yeah, this is where him and Jesker went to sleep out there, and then he gets attacked.
Yeah. And obviously you see Geralt because he's having...
Oh, yeah, that's where he has his dreams. This is where, like, the only time we ever see Yennefer. But he was, like, thinking already of his friend.
Oh, yeah.
The girl. I forget what her name is, like EC or something. But he kept on thinking about her, and then it kept switching. Then it ultimately switched to Yennefer.
EC, yeah.
Then Yennefer woke him up before he got, like, headshotted by a fish. Which that fish... was the hardest fish he fought because he couldn't kill that guy.
He was one of the elites, and I was surprised too. I was like, oh my god, if they all fight like this,
for real,
the humans would be gone.
For real, the Witcher Geralt was having a hard time.
Yeah, he was having trouble with them, and I was just surprised. And I love it because you just see him after when he finally managed to at least push him off. You see Jastier coming out, he's like, did I miss anything?
He was sleeping, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you ass.
For real.
I know, he was just like all covered in, blood and water. And that's the part when Geralt is starting to wonder if it was the mermaids actually doing all this horrendous stuff. But obviously he told, Jaster was like, why don't you kill him? He's like, well, he's going to lead us to the person who is basically doing all this.
Yeah. Which they do.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously they found out that, when they were walking, the chick, basically she was hiding. She followed them. And now they were going out. And obviously in the far distance, you see the prince and the mermaid princess making out. And they're talking to each other. I guess the prince doesn't understand her.
Yeah, only a little bit, I guess.
I guess little bits.
Yeah, so that I did find funny.
Yeah, I was like, I thought you would at least try to learn more, but it is funny. I was just like, how is this not possible? You're telling me the girl, Issa basically knows more instead of the prince who's been with the mermaid for the longest time ever? Probably years.
Same thing with Geralt.
Oh yeah, Geralt.
There was like a scene where he was like, tell her. And I'm like...
Well, because he was being mean, that's why.
Oh, wow.
That's why. But, obviously he's like, he talks like a bull or like a boar. Like, he's just an ass, so he doesn't want to talk to her. Because, I guess it's just something with pride.
Yeah, he was straight... No, he was just straight to the point. He's just blunt like the... Which is funny, because this is where they get into, like, a lover's quarrel type thing, but over, like, the stupidest things. Like, he's like, you're tricking me. Well, like, what do you mean you're being tricked? Like, you guys are both trying... He's like, he bewitched me. I'm like, what the fuck?
Is it funny?
Yeah, and then she was like, wow, just like that, you're just, like, over me like that. And then she's like, fuck you.
Because it was ridiculous. Yeah. That's how the story falls apart.
Yeah, which they state later, because, like, when they learn with the sea witch is trying to marry him or whatever, they're like, damn, you moved on quick.
that's when the asshole shows up. The dick. What was his name?
I don't know his name.
The bully. Let's just call him the bully.
The bully, yeah.
The bully shows up with his army for some reason and started attacking the mermaids.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, wait, what's happening? I thought he didn't want war.
Yeah.
Because he did say that at one point. He's like, yeah, I don't want war, but, you know, for my father, I guess I would. And I did like it because there was a scene that he like, is the king said, if you were my actual son,
yeah.
I would have been very proud. He's like, aw.
Which you learn later.
Yeah.
Fuck.
He's like, aw, okay, fine. So obviously he took that personal. I guess that's what he's going, like a vendetta. He's like, fuck you. I'm going to go attack the mermaid and get all the glory. And basically he was losing.
Oh, yeah. They were getting spanked.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, what was your plan? Like, you were just going to escalate it even more. And it was funny. Even Geralt was like, get out of here before I kill a real monster, which he was.
Yeah.
Because he almost started a war.
Yeah.
Like, legitly. And obviously he managed to kill his
cousin.
His cousin. So
the princess's cousin.
Yeah, princess's cousin. And basically Geralt just told him to fuck off. He did. He left.
Yeah, they ran away.
Father will hear about this.
Yeah, I was like, all right.
All right, fine, whatever. Geralt doesn't give a shit at that point. He's like, fuck that dude. And the part is, after when that happened, obviously, once he finally died, the mermaid prince or mermaid cousin, that's when the fishermen, for some reason, go, we declare war. I was like, why? Why did they declare war?
Oh, when the cousin died?
Yeah, when the cousin died.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, let's go to war. And he's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they start practicing and stuff like that, getting ready.
Yeah, it's like, we could have just stayed down here peacefully.
Yeah.
And the king is like, yeah, we're going to war too.
Yeah.
And you just see them training. I'm just like...
Yeah, and then, like, this is where the sea witch is, like, proposing and stuff. Or not proposing, but that's where, like, he's like, I know everything. This happened. You know, Geralt explains what happened.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is the part where you start hearing the Ursula song. You know, because she's the mermaid girl was talking to her.
Oh, yeah, that's right before she shows up there.
Yeah. So she's like, please.
That's where she gets the potion.
Yeah, I guess like you said, I guess there's a lot of witches around. It's just freaking crazy. Like, there is sea witches, there is swamp witches, there are even mermaid witches. And I'm like, all right, fine. They all know magic at some point. Yeah. So, for sure, fine. And this is, of course, this is the part where, you know, like, Alessia's brother was getting drafted into, or, nephew was getting drafted into the
that's
military.
why I forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, your brother, because the bully is like, your nephew is going to be one of those boats that we're going to sailing to our death, to our demise. I'm like, why? You guys are going to die. Like, the king is so oblivious. It's just funny at the same time. And obviously, you know, the prince is being all mopey. He ain't doing anything. He is sad. And obviously this is when, you know, Geralt comes in to reveal the real truth, what was happening. That basically the Witcher discovered something during the party. Do you remember when that little necklace was
I forgot.
vibrating?
Yeah, that's because
there was a monster nearby. And obviously that monster was, dun dun dun, the big reveal. The witch sea creature, or what was it? The witch.
The sea witch.
The sea witch was there all this time. And boy, can she fight.
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, she knew how to fight. And this is the part where the king knew, and he's like, run, my dear, run.
It's just like what the fuck?
You would think the soldiers would have been confused. It's like, wait a minute, aren't you helping the enemy? Like, what the fuck? Like, it was just funny at that point. And the prince obviously didn't want to do anything for some reason. He's just like, leave me out of your war. I'm leaving.
He was such a little...
Yeah, he was help.
Yeah, because when that happens, they arrest Yesker, the bully has a change of heart. And then that's when the king tells him, you're a disappointment. I've been trying to get rid of you, blah, blah, blah.
Right, from the longest time ever. But you just keep coming back.
So they get arrested, which is just ridiculous. Because it's only like 5 guards that Geralt could have killed.
Yeah.
Oh, and probably the other guy. Yeah, they immediately all start going to war. This is where we end up in the scene. Yeah. Well, before that, that's when you have Elise talk to the prince.
Yeah.
Where she's like, you know, you're basically a coward. And then he's like, what do you mean?
I ain't no coward.
She's like, if you would really love her and stuff like that, you'd go out there and your people, actual facts.
Like, madam, I only mope 3 times a day this day.
Yeah.
But no,
like,
he's the worst character. If you could consider it, at least I prefer the bully. At least he changed of heart at the most.
For real.
Yeah. Because after that whole moment, he's still thinking. He's still trying to decide what to do. At least, eventually convince the guy to go with her to the ship. To at least do something. And this is the part where basically you see Geralt and Jastier and the bully all, in ropes, tied up. And I guess the king was going to go to war with the sea creatures because he was going to dump them off right there. I was like, okay. Like, what is your big plan, king? Because they were going into the 2 sharp rocks.
Yeah.
Where I guess that's where they live, the mermaid people.
I have no idea.
They didn't explain that, but I guess supposedly that's where they're at. So they're there, and Jaspier, you're gonna go there, and then you're gonna fall into the water.
Yeah, but the bully's like, I'll go first.
And he's all like smiling, and he's like, what are you up to? And there's the part where the whole payoff, where the backstory happened. He does the
flip, yeah.
And he pushes the poor guy who had nothing to do with anything.
That was a backflip.
Yeah, the backflip, and pushes the soldier into the water. And did he die, I guess? He probably died.
Yeah, if all the fish people were there now.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what happened. And basically, after that part, that's when you start seeing the battle go on. Because the fish people, for some reason, decided to attack. I guess they heard the king. And they're like, all right, there is the king. We could get his head and end this war. He's that dumb coming over here. So they start attacking the hell out of the ship. People were dying left and right. I guess a couple of the soldiers kind of were fighting back kind of good.
Yeah, and the fish people come out. Then Ursula decides to show up.
What did she came out for?
She just came out to kill them. But she was like, I'm killing everybody. So then she becomes a giant kraken.
Make any sense,
yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. She could have just waited.
Yeah, she could have. Everybody would have died. So instead of revealing her plan, her stupid plan, I don't know why she did that.
I don't know.
So she came out as a kraken, and she just immediately had this switch because earlier she was trying to transform the prince's daughter into a human, and for some reason it didn't work. So now she's gonna kill everybody. Like, this is when she told the princess, your line ends here. I'm guessing she's trying to help the king. That's all the conclusion I could freaking get from this. That's all I could get you.
I couldn't tell you.
I'm guessing that's the best answer. I guess that's what happened. I'm guessing they were using each other to get what they want. But to be honest, the sea witch woman is mostly going to get what she wants. Yeah. The king is going to lose his son anyway.
For real.
So basically, that's what happened. She turned into the kraken, and then obviously she killed our bully, snapped him in 2. He's dead, and then obviously Jasper was next. But luckily, Geralt managed to escape from his binds, and he started finally attacking the kraken. He was basically losing.
Yeah, but SC or whatever helped him.
I forgot this one point when the princess came in. And this is where I told you that it was kind of dumb because that's when Geralt said, like, she's, the real person who's behind this was your aunt. And then she's like, if that is true, why isn't the prince here to clarify that for me?
Oh, you're right.
She's like, and he's like, well, he couldn't, he's busy. He's doing something else. He's moping about you. Like, he actually does love you. Well, actions are more better than words. That's what she said. Like, he's not here, so
well, he wasn't even there for the people, that's why.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. But it's still kind of silly. It's like, you see her mother or aunt, the sea witch, turn into a kraken, and it's like, that's your proof right there. But she didn't want to believe it. After that, she almost died because of that.
Yeah, for real. Almost ate her.
Exactly. So after that, there was a huge fight breaking over. People were dying left and right, sea monsters alike. And obviously, Geralt was about to die, but that's when, what's her name? Keep forgetting about her. Essa.
Yeah.
Shows up, and she was ready to die too.
No, he got grabbed.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, after that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, after he freed her, because he got grabbed by the sea witch.
Yeah.
And then she threw her sword, tied it with their hair.
What's in that bottle?
She put a bottle there? Oh, is that what he drank?
Yeah, that's what he drank.
Oh yeah, I don't know what it's called.
Like a potion that makes Geralt a little bit more witcherly like.
Like it's I don't know.
I forgot about it.
Yeah, I forgot the exact thing, but it enhances his strength and ability to see stuff. He did get eaten, but he came out of it, of course, through the mouth.
And managed to save her mother too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because the mother got eaten not too long ago, and then once he opened her up, the mom just came up like, "Oh, okay, she's still alive."
I thought that was the sea witch.
No.
That's why
the sea witch was the Kraken.
Yeah.
And obviously, when Geralt was still like beating his ass, or beating her ass, and managed to kill her once and for all. And the king was still having the grudge because he sliced her tail.
Yeah, the princess, and kicked her in the water. Like, what the fuck?
Like, you can't swim now, even though she could breathe.
Yeah.
Underwater. I was like, what are you doing? Like you should have just killed her there. So it's not making sense. See, this is what we're talking about when everything was falling apart because it doesn't really make sense. So after that, the whole thing when Geralt killed her, and basically, I guess the ship exploded. I forgot. Like, what happened to the ship? I know it gets destroyed and everybody falls off.
Yeah, because the Kraken sinks it.
Oh yeah, the Kraken sinks it, and basically it's over.
Which the Kraken should have just done in the beginning.
Exactly, and basically she would have won because everybody would have died. And she was a smart Kraken, but she wasn't. She wasn't planning this through. You see the king and you see the prince is like with the Witcher. Geralt was like, "I don't blame you if you leave him there."
Yeah, and then he's like,
which he should have, to be honest.
Technically.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the part where it's just fucking ridiculous. And then basically, the mermaid, finally shows up again, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm actually okay, and I'm not the only healer. My mother was a healer too." Remember that?
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, it was so random.
Yeah, it was so random. It was just trying to rush through to the plot, like to finish it. Because they're running out of time. They have to hurry. So after that, he's like, he is my blood. We might as well say my dad.
Yeah.
And after that, fast forward, they finally celebrated. Or the prince gave his speech, right?
Yeah.
He's like, let's go home.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and everyone went to, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Both sides.
Even though the king could have said the last words, like, fuck that. Let's still keep fighting. Yeah. But nah. He's like, I guess he had enough. So after that, they basically retreated. I guess a couple of days passed. It shows back to the king and the prince basically playing chess. And basically he was telling his dad...
Oh yeah, the potion. The
potion that he could transform her into a human. And he's like, even though I don't like the fish people, I could still probably like your human, like... her
say she's human. From a different region or something.
Yeah, I could give her titles and stuff. It could happen. I'll make it happen.
Stupid.
And then the prince is like, yeah, whatever. He just left.
Yeah. So during the wedding, that's where they reveal it. They say their sweet words, and then he's like, "I'm gonna drink it," and the king's like, "What the fuck?
Not Meyer! How dare he?" And basically, he was telling his dad like, "Yeah, you're a ruthless man. You're incompetent. You're an asshole. And I don't want no titles. I'm gonna be living with my future wife, and basically, you're nothing anymore to me." And basically, he transformed into the mermaid, and basically they kissed, they loved each other, and then they swam away. Yeah. And he's like, you see the old man like, "Oh, how dare he? This is all your fault, Witcher!" Like out of nowhere, he just wanted to blame it on somebody. It's like, it's all your fault, and he's like, "No, you're just an idiot. Like, you had a bastard son, but you let him get killed. Yeah. And you had an actual son who you failed to connect with, so you just lost two of them."
Yeah.
And instead of going like, "You're right," he's like, maybe I should just remarry and pump out a couple more bastards or, another sons. But I guess he just couldn't because he's actually old and he's just shooting blanks at this point. Because obviously you could still have kids during that age. So it's just ridiculous and funny for me, at least at that point. What happened after that, boy?
After that, it's pretty much they say their goodbyes.
Yeah.
They get ready to head off, which I don't remember where they're heading off to.
The end of the continent.
Yeah, basically. Just to avoid Yennefer.
Yeah, it's like, please, not any Yennefer. Yeah. I don't want to talk about her. And this is the part is like, the adventures is still going on with Geralt, wherever he is. And I'm like, at least I enjoyed that small segment, but It's so vague because obviously that whole story part with the whole king and stuff, and with the sea witch story, it did not make any sense, and I did not like it at all. At that point, that's why I'm saying the final act was so confusing. It was weird.
For real.
Like they went to war for nothing. He did absolutely nothing with that, but it was ridiculous. At least the action was good. I'll admit that though. So obviously the big question is there going to be another one?
Yeah.
It looks like it seems like it was trying to build another one.
It might.
And to be honest, I'm down for another one if they make the story a little bit better, because I like to hear Geralt's voice again. Because I love his voice. Every single time when I hear him, I'm like, that's the Witcher.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm like, please make it happen. But yeah, I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
It ended with them going to the end of the continent for escaping Yennefer. But either way, that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. And we will see you guys on the next one. Later, guys.
Later, guys.